All right, all right. First and foremost, give infinite praise, call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakakwadash, and of course, double honors once again go out to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who through the Holy Spirit continue to teach us His truth. All right, this is Naaman with the DC camp, and this article here, wow, it should come as no surprise. For those of you that are aware of the deep hatred, the deep-seated hatred that these Edomites, so-called white people, have for our people, that they continually seek to undermine us. All right, this is just another case in that. But things are winding down. Time is winding down for these devils. So, you know, they're going to strike at us with their dying breath. That's how much hatred they have for us. This is from newsbreak.com. Business Insider. It says Americans can't keep ignoring the dozens of states sneaking through laws that attack the right to protest and make it more dangerous to take to the streets. See, this whole thing, because you got to consider back the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s, these Edomites were embarrassed. All right, all the footage that went around the world showing how they mistreated Jake and highlighted just how much, all right, they hated our people. So since then, they've been working on how to make us look like the bad guy around the world, and they succeeded pretty much in doing that. All right, you think he let that go? No. There's a reason why, aside from the obvious, that drugs and everything were pumped into our neighborhoods. We were attacked through also the music. All this comes into play, all right, in shaping how other people around the world perceived us, all right? So now here we have it. People are protesting about abuse by the police departments, as was always the case. It's just modern times we have something like this and everybody has a camera on these things, these little mini computers called cell phones, smartphones, all right? So again, his hatred against us is being brought to the forefront and showed once again to the world. So now he's trying to take steps to once again show the world that we are the threat. All right, so here we go. It says Americans can't keep ignoring the dozens of states sneaking through laws that attack the right to protest and make it more dangerous to take to the streets. All right. It says Republican-led state legislatures in several dozen states have passed laws severely limiting the right to protest. This is a consequence of a GOP takeover at the state level while Democrats focus on the federal level. See, these motherfuckers are still salty, all right? You really, now, next year is the midterm elections, all right? So these devils are working fast to try to get some sort of majority between either the House or the Senate. It's going to be much easier to get it in the Senate, all right, numbers-wise, all right. It says Americans need to pay attention to what's going on in their states or it will be too late. And they've got everybody focused on any and everything except what they should be focused on, all right? And that's so easy to do here. So many distractions, all right? It says Dana R. Fisher is a professor of sociology and the director of the Program for Society and the Environment at the University of Maryland. All right, local. All right, this is an opinion column. The thoughts expressed are those of the author. I had to put that there. It says the Republican Party is waging an attack on our democracy at the state level and getting away with it. And I'm sure you should also know, Akim and a few Aquath that are listening, you shouldn't be involved in any of this, Republican, Democrat, because all this is set up against us. It doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat, all right? They're both filthy wings on a dirty, wicked bird, all right? It's all the same. It says in the past few weeks, bills have been passed through Republican-led legislatures in Alabama, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Montana, Florida, and several other states. All right. These bills include draconian provisions to limit peaceful protests, like increasing penalties for blocking streets, expanding the definition of a riot so that it applies to groups as small as 3 people, and making it legally defensible for drivers to run over protesters with their cars. See what's happening here? All right, and eventually this is going to filter down to us out there on the streets. Who was it that passed the bill? It was down in Florida, I believe, Governor DeSantis, where it's making it easier for them to get rid of people who they deem that are like inciting a riot. I'll put it that way. All right, which loosely can be attributed to us. If someone were to come up to a camp and say, whether staged or otherwise, and just, starts acting stupid and does something to like destroy property, well, that bill down in Florida, which I'm sure is going to spread, says that they can come after us. Yeah. All right. So it continues. It says the bills are a clear response to the unprecedented wave of predominantly peaceful protests against police brutality and systemic racism that swept over the country last summer in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. See, the thing is, the police in this country have always enforced segregation. All right. So now we have this thing where your so-called white friends and all that, sure, they be buddy-buddy with you, but they don't want you living in their neighborhoods. I mean, you can feel it every time you go into a predominantly Edomite neighborhood. All right. But the shame is, in the reverse, Jake be welcoming these motherfuckers with open arms. All right. Because Jake still has that slave mentality. All right. Whether he admits it or not. It says, and continuing on with this, it says, in the indigenous-led protests that target projects that expand fossil fuel infrastructure. Let's get some scriptures. All right, I just had to read that in its totality, that part of it anyway, so you kind of get an idea of what's going on here. All right. And once again, this is basic, but this is what they do. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. All right. To turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people. Protest. You've got a grievance. Isn't that what, under their so-called constitution, all right, allows you to do? But no. See, the thing is, this devil is being exposed for the piece of shit that he really is. All right. And like I say, time grows short. All right. So you're going to see things speed up here. He's trying to get this new money system set up, but, under the distraction of this magic virus, all right, everybody's paying attention to. All right. Never mind, the flu just fell off the map. And it's like every other method of death is like, oh, well, but so you don't understand that there's agenda being pushed forth. And this distraction, well, they're working on, because China pretty much beat them to the punch. All right. So the old system is being phased out with the paper money and coin and all that. All right. And then they want to push this digital thing, which is going to just give them more control over the people. So they know if they put that at the forefront, people aren't going to go for it. So they got to go through this elaborate, or it seems as elaborate, it's not really, because let's face it, people, especially the American idiot, has been dumbed down so much. Hey, easy pickings for the most part. But the thing that they didn't count on was the time. So much time has passed that even the idiots are starting to see that this is bullshit. All right. They expected everybody to be so scared, you know, rush, to the nearest clinic to get that poison put into them. All right. But it didn't exactly work out that way. Sure, you had your hardcore, I'll do anything the government tells me to do types, of course. But continuing on, it says, to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor, my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. All right. And that's what they do. All right. Let's get another one. Let's go to, let's see, Psalms. Because you're dealing with a crafty, that's just his mindset, his, I always say it's part of his blessing too, because this is what he's put up to do. He's set to be the wicked, all right? Aside from the sword, which is how he was going to, it's also deceit and deception. That's what a devil is. It's a liar and deceiver by definition, all right? It says a prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. It is King David says, why standest thou far off, O Most High Yahweh? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his harsh desire, which they've done. They continue to do. All right. They want us to be in both the mindset and physically like it was back pre-civil rights. All right. Era. So-called civil rights. I hate that phrasing there. All right. That's what they want. It says, for the wicked boasteth of his harsh desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Most High Yahweh abhorreth. All right? Let's go into that covetous, because this is by definition with this devil. He wants not only what he wants for himself, he wants what you have too. And proof of that, since the time of Columbus and that decree or edict from the Catholic Church, all this thing has been is a transfer of wealth. All right. It says, all right, this is Strong's H1214, Batazai, to cut off, break off, gain by unrighteous violence. Hey, hey. Get, finish, be covetous, be greedy. And I would argue avarice. Now, I look up that definition because it more fits avarice. It says to cut off, to stop, to gain wrongfully or by violence, to cut off, sever, to finish, complete, accomplish, to violently make gain of. Now, let's look up that word avarice. All right. All right, avarice as a noun, extreme greed for wealth or material gain. All right, synonyms: greed, acquisitiveness, cupidity, covetousness, avariciousness, rapacity, rapaciousness, graspingness, materialism, mercenariness, because he does use his military, like what does it say about his blessing? This is how. In fact, let me get that real quick. This is Genesis 27. Let's start at 38. All right, it says Jacob's deception. Whoa, 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 whatever. All right, that's what they're always going to say. It says, and Esau said unto his father, because in 25 he sold his birthright, because he didn't think nothing of it, because he had no integrity. So, boo-hoo. It says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, meaning he will have the best of everything. All right. And but by what method? And of the dew of heaven from above. Here it go, 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt, meaning methods of war, brutality, rape, robbery, murder, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau, verse 41, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother. All right, and his descendants, that's that friction, that's that hatred between, I should say, Esau's descendants, the nation of Edom, so-called white people, against our people. That has gone on with the establishments of the Greeks. There, even before then, but that's why King David was so, he hated these devils. All right. King Amaziah, I believe that's 2nd Chronicles, 25th chapter, he just would round them up and just throw them off cliffs. All right. So Israel never got along with, the nation of Edom. All right. But that's what our people don't understand. They don't know that history. So they'll worship white Jesus, so-called. All right. Not understanding that that's blasphemy, first and foremost. All right. Because that's leprosy. That's Leviticus 13, Numbers 12, and a few other places. They are the wicked. All right. Malachi 1st chapter. All right. So, yeah. So here's the genesis of that hatred. When you understand this, you'll understand that it really goes back to Cain and Abel. All right. So they're always plotting against us. All right. It says, oh, this is really messed up. It says immunity for drivers who run over protesters. In case you forgot, this was passed also as a result of, protests leading up into the George Floyd incident or murder. It says recently, Governor, and this had to be Florida, Ron DeSantis became the 4th Republican governor to sign what he called an anti-riot bill into Florida law. The new law in Florida empowers the state to overrule municipalities' decisions to reduce police budgets and makes it a felony to destroy historical structures, including Confederate, they put that in parentheses, flags and memorials during protests. It also grants civil immunity to people driving into crowds of protesters. As I've always said, they're looking for ways to roll back the clock on you jakes, and you don't get it. All right, you're still looking to, as someone had put it, make your hell here comfortable, make it palatable. But it's still hell, meaning the conditions here, not some BS fiery place, but that's those Christians. It says Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt signed a similar law enacting criminal penalties for those protesting in the street, while granting criminal and civil immunity to drivers who harm said protesters. See? These driver immunity bills would make it legally defensible for people like neo-Nazi James Alex Fields to drive their cars into peaceful protests and hit innocent protesters like Heather Heyer, who was killed when she was hit by Fields' car while demonstrating against the Unite the Right march in Charlottesville, Virginia in August 2017. Participants in the January 6th insurgency in Washington, D.C. should consider themselves extremely lucky no such law was in place when they marched without a legal permit from the demonstration at the Washington Monument to storm the U.S. Capitol. How fortunate. A consequence of GOP law takeover at the state level. Across the country, while efforts to limit voting have been introduced in most states and have gained substantial attention, more than 90 bills have been simultaneously introduced across 35 states that aim to reduce citizens' right to assemble in protests. Now, I, while growing up, you would always hear these stories about how just America was, and that it was not like those so-called third world countries with dictators. You know, you were sold this load of bullshit, all right? But that was just a front. See, it doesn't matter what system of government, whether it be so-called democracy, capitalism, socialism, communism, whatever. It doesn't matter if the people running it are wicked pieces of shit. So what's the difference? They always talked about Cuba and Fidel Castro when the people just really didn't want to be taken advantage of like they were under Batista. All right. See, the American people, stupid as they always have been, never really paid close attention to America's foreign policy and how they fucked over so many people. And that's leading up to Revelation 17, where they shall hate the whore. All right. And what are they going to do? They're going to burn her with fire. What's that fire? The nuclear missiles. This place is going to be uninhabitable. All right. Because people are tired. People are tired of America. And from its root, we know that it means it's bitter, and it has always been bitter from it for us. All right. I believe his word is Amar. At the root there, of course, it's named after Amerigo Vespucci. All right. So, which brings up something else. Our people always like to refer to themselves as African American. Well, those are the surnames of two white men, two Edomites. So, once again, you say and take on these things not understanding what's the history behind them. All right? It's like it. Wow, our people are just, but thankfully, enough of us are waking up to the bullshit. And it's got these people nervous. That's Revelation 11th chapter there, all right? 7 and 8 on down. About us standing up on our feet and the people being afraid, all right? It says, after Barack Obama won the presidency in 2008, there was a coordinated effort by conservative funders to use their dark money to push back against Democratic wins and the new president's agenda. That effort took the form of activism through the Tea Party and state-level initiatives to change the political makeup of legislatures across the country. See how they do? You were never meant to prosper here. And I'm talking to Jake. This was, like I said, this was not our rest. You should want to be, want something better than this. All this contention, always, every time you seek to improve your condition, it's always this pushback. Nah, it was never meant to be. This is, I almost lost my track. Let's see, my train of thought here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I might as well get it anyway. Woe to oppressors is the heading. It says Micah chapter 2 verse 10. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. Look at the Jakes that so-called make it, the things they had to do to make it, all right? And they end up oftentimes poor, homeless, or in some kind of legal trouble, all right? Yeah, so I'm just going to skip down here because this is rather long. I'm going to leave the link. You can read it for yourself, but I've got the, well, as a matter of fact, I think that is it. Oh, okay. I was looking at the, let's get some comments here. It says, Joseph Elliott. If protesters surround my car with my family in it, beating on my private property, and threatening the life of my family, they will all die horrible deaths. And guest again says ditto. It's not okay to run protesters over, but it is okay for them to drag you from your vehicle and beat you senseless. This is a puff piece from an idiot. Repub's brokerage is pure criminal filth. I agree with running over protesters blocking the street. These people should learn to protest somewhere else. Where else are they going to? I mean, why? Since when does the right to protest include the right to block the right of way or destroy property? All right, rioting, burning buildings is not peaceful protesting, and it needs to put down. And you have BLM to think it's because of the violence and destruction to property that the laws have been introduced. See, this is someone that evidently didn't know that, first of all, that was all set up. And in their defense, we all know that there's videos out there showing provocateurs paying people to do certain things. Now, luckily, we know about all of a sudden there's pallets of bricks staged. All right, so my point being, it didn't go down like they intended. All right, but again, they didn't storm the U.S. Capitol. And it looks like they're trying to set it up to where these people are going to get not much more than a slap on the wrist, if you catch my meaning. All right? Because you would have thought that, I saw that interview, this guy, he was trying to not evade so much as that question was asked, well, why aren't these people being charged with sedition? All right? And he's, you know how Esau is with his dancing around the question. All right? But I know he was a prosecutor. I can't remember exactly who he was. But let that have been Jake. All right? First and foremost, he would have been lit up while trying to get up the steps. All right? We all know that. All right? Let's see. Biden hates America, says protest, laugh out loud. The left riots and burns businesses and ruins lives. Hope all the rioters identify as speed bumps. That's what they're going to be. Eric Williams, I have the right under the Constitution to freely travel the public roadways of the United States of America. Anyone denying me this right is in violation of it. You got that, Professor? Protesting is walking down a public sidewalk and holding signs. It is not surrounding cars on the street, going into neighborhoods and screaming at people who are trying to sleep at 2 a.m. It is not harassing people to trying to eat at a restaurant, and sure as hell isn't rioting and looting. Holy schmoly. Where was this author during last summer's festival of rioting, looting, and murder? Those evil Republicans, how dare they protect life, liberty, and property? Oh yeah, my freedom, right? Purple Fred. In mockery of Jake. DAB, run over them dumbasses. They aren't doing anything but causing trouble. They're looting, burning businesses. If they were peaceful, fine, but never, and that's it. So BLM and Antifa protests are peaceful wherever you've been. See that link? They managed to link the two together, you dumbass. And the majority of them are Edomites anyway. They just hijacked that whole thing. Here's one. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. It says, again, Democrats leave out the word rioters when they talk about protesters. Protesters follow the law. When you break the law, you're a rioter. Then do all the time when they leave out illegal immigrants. Liberal media just writes immigrants when they are talking about illegal immigrants. Democrat propaganda. Like I say, why would you want to stay? You see the games they're always playing. All right. You were never meant to be anything but a slave here in America. All right. So with that, let me close out with this. This is Psalms 64. Got to start at the top. Prayer for deliverance from secret enemies. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, hear my voice, O Most High Yahweh, in my prayer preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. All those things comments I was reading. Imagine these chambers where these politicians get together and these think tanks and high-level business execs and all that. Imagine. Who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil manner. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? That's what they've been doing. While everybody's focusing on the federal level, they've been sneaking around at state level. We're going to change this, tweak this. And then Jake, all of a sudden, things pop off. What do you mean I can't? What? They can run over me? Wow. And it's like the apostles always, why are you out here doing this shit anyway? All right. That's not. Oh, wow. Verse 6, it says, they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. All right. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And that's happening a lot also. That's part of this. All right. Because a lot of them, they start telling on themselves. All right. Exposing stuff. All right. So, with that, once again, these sneaky devils behind the scenes are coming up with new ways to get at Jake. And one of these things is aiming at protesters now. They can run you over. In other words, I was going to use the castle doctrine as an example, like an extension of that. But yeah, it's like giving these people, these racist, redneck pieces of shit, license to do more harm to Jake. That's all. Wow. So with that, hey, once again, like I said, that's what we do here at Great Millstone. Try to edify. I hope whoever views this is edified, because this is all in an attempt to wake up the hopefully elect that's remaining. All right. So with that, hey, shalom.